This week on RSBANDB Update, right-click re-examine Sanctum of Rebirth brings news on Tier 95 magic set effects, magic ability changes for greater concentrated blast and Sonic Wave, and we look at a new death mechanic. Also, a recap on beach XP rates and some fixes we'd like to see for the beach in 2025. This is RSBANDB Update, episode 993, recorded Thursday, July 4th, 2024. Sanctum of the Beach. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another episode of RSBANDB Update. Tanis is not here this week, and he won't be for a couple of weeks. He's taking some summer time off, but to fill in for the meantime, Parnassus is here. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Your second favourite Aussie, filling in for the first.
Well, maybe after
spot.
this, you'll regain your rightful spot as number
maybe
one.
Yes. But yeah, we wish Tanis all the best and such. But I'm in the middle of winter here, so stuck inside. So it's a good time for me to be helping out
and playing some wonderful RuneScape. This week, of course, on tap, right-click re-examine, talking about the Sanctum of Rebirth. We're going to have another look at the beach with some of the XP rates and some cleanup that we'd like to see done there, and finally an update on when RuneFest will be happening. Yes, you heard that right, folks. RuneFest will be happening, but in the meantime, I want to thank our experienced tier Patreon members for whom without RSBANDB Update would not be possible. This week, that's Amos Reed, Andrew C., Drama Free, Jason S., Jesse W., Kesky, Ricky A., Rippeth, Runestar, and the Naked Captain. Big, huge thank you to all of those people. You'll hear more about our Patreon offerings a little bit later in the podcast. In the meantime, you can follow along in the show notes over at update.show. We also have a friends chat in-game, which is at BitsBytes. You can find me in there at Shane12088. Parnassus is also there. And we do have the community Discord as well at update.show/Discord. All right. So administration stuff aside, it's time to right-click re-examine, because obviously the first one was just right-click examine, the discussion about the Sanctum of Rebirth, which we're going to be getting, based on the way this is looking, we're going to be getting the release information on this probably soon, because this is, I think, supposed to be July's feature set of content. You're looking forward to maybe diving into some PVM with this?
Yeah, again, that's it'll be interesting. I mean, I'll give it a try. I'm sort of working through mid-level bosses at the moment, but anything new, always jump in and have a bit of a try. And it sounds really interesting with what they've got coming out for this too.
The thing that really got my eye going is that they beta tested the 3 set effects, of course, for the Tier 95 wands. And what they wound up going with is they went with the bleed effect, which was perhaps the most interesting one, but also had a number of caveats around this as well. So this was the one for people, just as a brief reminder, increased damage over time abilities by 30% more damage, which at this point in time only affects Combust and Corruption Blast. So only 2 abilities in the magic kit right now. Dots will generate corrupted essence, essence corruption with each hit. 1 stack, your damage over time abilities have a 30% chance to empower, dealing the damage instantly and refreshing their cooldowns. At 25, you deal bonus damage against enemies, which is 100% of stacks plus 100% of your magic level. So if you're level 99 right there, that's basically just north of 200%. And at 50, basic abilities generate an additional 3.6% adrenaline over 6 seconds with 100 stacks maximum on this. So it's an interesting set, I think, leaning into the bleeds, and was the more wholesome and interesting one, I'll say, compared to just resetting cooldowns or lowering cooldowns of wild magic, which is the one that I would have preferred. But with this, what I read out there was the effects that as they were on the beta. So they're going to be swapping effects 1 and 2. So you get that the essence corruption with just one equipped. They're also removing the charging 9 mechanic that people were getting their knickers in a knot about on the server. Which, I mean, I liked it, but there's other reward spaces for that, I guess. They're going to be adding a special attack, and of course, as well with this, tweaking the balance. And they don't say what the special attack is going to be, but level 95 magic wands. I don't anticipate I'll be seeing these anytime soon, given my primary's been necro, and I always felt like my secondary was ranged.
Yeah, unless when you're in there with your necro and you take it down and get yourself a wand.
Yeah,
with that horseshoe of yours.
Well, I mean that horseshoe really hasn't it left me at the start of the year.
It disappeared this year, hasn't it? Yeah.
It did with that Raziel streak that it just
which
ended.
was still above average.
It was about 600 less than you would expect average to complete the log there. But as I was saying, I don't necessarily know that you and I are going to see these, depending on the difficulty of this boss. Being,
what I like
tier
about
95s.
what I like when they bring out new weapons is it makes the ones below them viable for players like me then, because all of a sudden everyone's dropping their T92s, and you can pick them up for a couple of 100 mil that way. So love it when they do this type of thing, because I mean, I'm not a high level boss, or I'm not one who wants the faster scores and things. I just want to be able to kill it. So it does have that trickle down effect. Yep. And it does have that trickle down effect.
Yeah.
So,
and I think the thing that we see with this is that it's going to be a good set, and it's going to provide some real competition for the fractured staff. Now, of course, people will say, "Well, you have both. Just throw the fractured staff in your EOF." But they are also changing that up this week, or not this week, rather, when Sanctum comes out. That based on what was said on the beta, they're just uncoupling everything. So,
which I love.
Yeah, but that's how it needed to be. That's how it needed to be.
Definitely.
Because we did we looked at this again on the beta, and you look at Sonic Wave and Greater Sonic Wave right now. There's no point in using Sonic Wave dual wielder with staff, and sure, it's got a nice accuracy buff with it, but what we have in the game doesn't need that right now, and they said we might need that in the future, so we'll just put that on the shelf right now. But of course everything circles around concentrated blast, and for people who just want to have a good magic weapon, a good tier 95 magic weapon, you'll be able to do this now if you don't need the ability to swap quickly to a shield. Just camp that fractured staff, be able to use its spec, and be able to capitalize nicely on greater concentrated blast with this. So this was one thing I was happy about.
This has come out of, and I'm always in two minds about betas, because yes, it can give people an advantage to work things out, but the upside is the feedback that they get, I think, far outweighs that, in that we get things like this happening. The staff for so long, because they didn't have access to concentrated blast or GCB, have been lacking, and by unlocking this, and hopefully it works really well, and they'll do that to other things, like your range abilities and things like that. If that's needed down the track, by unlocking them and giving that, it just opens up the game again so much more and makes it more fun.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I see with this is that it's twofold. There's two. Imagine it like a tug of war, right? On one side, you have the forces of the community that don't want change, and the switchscape as a form of skill expression, and there's that word again, right? So you have that side on it, but on the other side, you have the JMods and what I'll call the casual players who are pulling from the other side. And I think what this change does in terms of giving concentrated blast to staves in as it is right now. I think what that is like is effectively continuing on giving the necromancy treatment to magic.
Yep.
Because there's no walling around that with the necromancy abilities, right?
Exactly.
It's keep in mind, I'm not necessarily comparing apples to oranges with two-handed versus dual-wield. I'm just saying that if you look at necromancy abilities, there's very few guardrails around them, right?
That's
effectively
it is basically just levels. Yeah. There's levels and the amount of souls that you can get. Whereas this, it's like, do it, I have to take wands, I have to take a staff because I've got to flick between this. I mean, for someone like me, it's like, nah, this type of thing can get me back into playing Magic again down the track, where rather than just sticking a Necro. I mean, Necro is for the casual player like me. It is a great skill like this, but I sometimes do get I get bored of the same thing. I want to switch it up. So having this type of thing happen. What I did love is where they were initially going to just swap Sonic Wave and Concentrate.
Oh God, that would have been horrible.
And put one on. And I love that. Players were initially concerned about this negatively impacting dual wield. No, players abused the crap out of you and said you do that, quit Scape again.
Yeah.
But so I think they've gone, just by unlocking it for both is the best thing that they could have done.
Yeah, absolutely on that. And, it's also just adding in an extra element of fun to it, I'll say as well, because I have been in the situation where I've taken people to raids before who wanted to, just go get, the 1 or 2 KC for Reaper, right?
Yep.
But, what actually wound up happening with that is that the Raid FC at the time that does most of the group finding for MazCab raids had a requirement that you have level 90 weapons, right? So
correct.
Let's also just rewind a bit and realize that the level 90 wands are prohibitively expensive in game. So what that would mean is that if you're wanting to take somebody who is kind of on a budget, you couldn't necessarily take them with ports wands because the rules are the rules, and you don't want to fail that gear check, right?
Everyone was down there with Slisky staffs, which weren't.
That's precisely it. You fell down
to
a staff like maybe the Noxious staff from Araxor.
Nox, not Slisky. Yeah, the Nox staff. That's what I had when you took me. You said. Because we had to have the 90. I said, I got a Nox staff, and you've gone, okay, well, it is works, a 90 weapon, so take it.
You're not gonna break any DPS records with that.
Exactly.
So, yes. And because of that, it just opens, up that extra level of power associated with it for somebody who doesn't want to, lean too much into that. And it's not as big of an issue as it used to be. Like, for example, I'm just looking at the seismic wand right now. The seismic wand is presently 121 million GP, grand exchange value. But
that's gone up again a little bit then.
No, it's gone down because last year in August it was 583 mil.
I thought because I got a set of seismics. I thought
you probably bought them. You probably bought them a long time ago because there was a time.
They really dropped, and
because there was a time when Magic was not meta. So as a result of that, they were relatively cheap. That's when I got mine. But
I got my set for like 200 mil, and it
right,
was like,
that's about the price I got mine. But as soon as you think things went back towards the Magic angle, these things just horrendously shot up. And just looking at the price graph here, if we go back to March of 2022, the offhand, the seismic singularity back then was 850 mil.
Wow. Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I think it wasn't that long ago I got them, but I did get them pre-COVID. Now thinking about it, so that's 4 years ago.
That would have been right around the time was, and oddly at this point we're in an interesting time where the Nox staff has been relatively consistent and hovering around the 300 mil mark. So in some ways, for tier 90, the wands are actually cheaper now. But the point is that there's always those Araxite components that are keeping the Nox weapons up high.
Yes.
So
yeah,
you can always lean into things like that. But to just bring everything back to it, this is precisely why having the ability to choose between wand and staff and greater concentrated blast and greater sonic wave for that is a good thing. And I think if I'm going to take anything away from this post, that's maybe the thing I'm most happy about. But I think I know what you're most happy about, and that's how they're going to be experimenting with death in this, with the down but not out system.
Yeah, when I read this, I thought, I love what they're doing, because magic was always my skill before Necro come out anyway. It was just a nice easy one for me to use. I had the I had the tank armor that sort of healed you from
the ports one, right?
No, the one up from the the one we got from the elder gods that sort of heals you and everything, so you can just go everywhere. Just
the hybrid
put
one.
that on. Yeah, no, the let me go and find what.
I have no idea which armor you're talking about.
Yeah. I know I haven't put it on in that long, so I just haven't. I just forgotten that. Oh, why do I always sit in the seat when I go to click on the bank?
I don't know.
They've got this. They've got this seat at the beach that sits right next to the bank, and you go to click on the bank, and you always hit that. Okay, so my magic armor is the. Where's my magic armor in here now?
This is turning into an adventure on its own.
It is. I can't even find where my magic armor is anymore. There it is. The Crypt Bloom.
Oh, Crypt Bloom
stuff.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Everybody's favorite piece of tank.
So I've just got a full set of that, and with the magic abilities that you had there, you just kept healing yourself. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then obviously Necro come out, so it's all been Necro since then. So yeah, I've always found magic. It's not going to give me the fastest kills, but it always got me steady kills.
Yeah, and that's what we always said too.
Having concentrated blast
is that if you're doing group content, don't bring the Crypt Bloom, don't bring the tank armor. But if you're doing your own thing, go for it.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a set of the magic, the power armors as well.
Yeah.
For that, if I ever do go, like someone's taken me to get kills or things, I don't want to slow them down, so I'll wear that type of stuff. But my main go-to
that was
always
you that
been the tank.
we broke your brain with by showing you how much more you get out of power armor compared to tank,
Oh,
right?
I know, because my tank T90 tanks, and then I go down to T80s, and I'm sitting there going, I'm killing my times by 10, 15, 20 seconds. I think one kill I got, which was I think a minute and a half. I took off where my best time was 4 minutes. I took a minute and a half off it. It's just crazy. But yeah.
But
yeah. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, that was
that's fine. That's fine. That's a nice roundabout discussion, because we're talking about survivability, and that's what they're leaning into with Sanctum here.
That's right. Yeah,
for
this new
normal
difficulty.
Normal difficulty, you won't die and be sent to death's office, but you'll then be knocked down for several seconds and then get back up to continue the fight. And what they say with this is that they want to do this to shake things up and help players approach these fights on normal difficulty, but there were also concerns about brute forcing the situation. So they said after further work, they discovered that they could kill two birds with one stone, or rather knock them out for a while. To enable this alternate death mechanic, they made tweaks to the original idea, so now that when your life point's at 0 in normal, you'll resurrect and suffer from resurrection sickness, which will drastically reduce your outgoing damage for a period of time while giving you a brief damage immunity to get you back on your feet. And this mechanic will be discussed more closer to launch.
And I love this idea because, I get frustrated sometimes. Go there, you've gone through Zuck, and you get to the end, and you die. I've just gone through 20 minutes and now I'm going to have to go do it. Nah, stuff it. I'm just going to quit and go watch something or just go back to skilling. Whereas this, I'm still in there. Okay. Yeah, my damage is going to be reduced. I've got to do that survivability thing. But now I get back up and continue and try and, finish the fight. And I think, and I love that it is only on normal mode. Hard mode should always be bang, die, you go, and do what you have to do. But this again is, I think, going to open it up to the mid-level player who wants to try things and not have to. Okay, I've got to go back to Death Office now. I've got to go back and do it all again. Just keep going until you can get
that's the thing.
That kill.
We have the lower death cost now, but there's still a psychological barrier that people have to get over in doing bossing, and that's why those free death weeks are always so popular, is because they let people just go out and try things without having to worry. And I feel like you get this in this boss. We'll have to wait for the details on it, but I feel like you get in closer to that direction than you ever have with this.
Definitely. And as I said, I mean, your top tier 1% players are probably going to hate it, think, oh, it should be a skill thing and all that. But for the 95% of us who just want to play and have fun, we don't care about fast kills and all that type of stuff. We just want to play and get through to the end of the boss. This is a brilliant idea, and kudos to whoever sort of come up with the idea, because I think this will be a big hit.
Right. And, I think this is part of a multi-year trend that we're seeing, because if you look at what Necromancy did, it seems as though the goal, and I think this was even said somewhere by maybe like Ryan or Sponge or somebody to that effect, is that the goal is to get more people involved in PVM so they can do more PVM updates. And if you can get, the average RuneScape player doing boss encounters that aren't God Wars 1 and God Wars 2, but, the newest and greatest thing, you have an update that people can be excited about on launch week, and rather than just go, well, I guess I'm just out for this week, then I'll go play something else, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, if like when I get to the end and get to Zuck and I die, it's like, oh, stuff it. And I'll just like turn off the computer and just chuck on TV or something like that because I get pissed off. So with this type of thing, I'm going to be getting, I'm not going to quit because I'm still here. I'm going to keep going until I get him down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
and even
fair.
if they did something like this, and okay, it's gonna affect your drops. Okay, you're gonna lose 10% of the drops or whatever. I'm happy if they do something like that as well.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you get something and it's a net positive resource wise, I think, which is always a difficult thing for RS to do.
Yeah.
So
that's the other thing. I mean that's a discussion for another day, obviously. But drops are what are coming in and the valuing skilling and such. But I mean, as I said, anything that is going to get the casual or mid-level player to try sort of harder level bosses and things is only a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it lets more PVM content be made. And I think it's also just a wonderful confidence booster as well, because my PVM journey myself, we do the roundtables for our Patreon folks. And, one roundtable a month and a bit before Carapac came out, I said, hey, guys, I've never killed a Raxor before. I'm going to go kill a Raxor at this round table. Does anybody want to watch? And, I went and did it on my first run, and that was incredibly empowering. And then, I also made some further changes to my gear for Carapac launch week, and I decided, I can bring people on the show who have done the boss, but, having another voice who's killed it is always good. And that was my entire business on launch day, was getting it to a point where I could kill that boss. And, I started with, 7-minute kill times on normal mode. And, I'm way down from there now to the point where I can even do hard mode competently on that. And it's just an empowering thing when you can move through a boss and do it successfully and then move on to its hard mode and then move on to something else. So if they can enable that with Sanctum of Rebirth, I think that would be mission accomplished. And if it's successful, maybe it needs to be backported to some other bosses too.
Yes, yep, and I'll be happy for some of the older bosses. But yeah, as I said, it can only be a good thing. Bringing in more players to do this content can only be a good thing. And the PVM community, as you said, it will allow more PVM updates, so they can be happy as well, because the more players playing PVM content means more updates for them.
Yeah, and just thinking about it, I think the 3 bosses I'd like to see this for at different levels. I think Nex, not AOD, but just Nex is a good choice.
Standard Nex, yep.
Carapac, both normal or just regular normal mode.
Just normal, yeah. No, hard mode should always be an actual test.
And Raksha.
I'd like to see it at Zac.
I don't think you could do it with Zac, because that's part of the whole thing, is that you're supposed to get through it in one flawless run.
Yeah, I know. But just I mean, not even that, just for when you're practicing, if you okay, I've died, but I've learned, okay, that was the thing I shouldn't have done, so I can finish a kill at least, and then go back and redo it. Because if I can finish a kill, it pumps you up to try it again.
And that leads into another problem that I have with RSPVM. It's that it's almost impossible to know what you died from unless you're video recording, whereas most other games have like a damage log saying, the boss inflicted this kind of damage to you at this time. It'd be nice to also, I think, have something like that. But I know that I'm, preaching to the choir here on that. So But
yeah, this is the only MMO I play, so that'd be something that would be very interesting to know how you died, or just sit there and it has a little replay mode for the last 10 seconds of your fight, so you can see what he hit you with and things.
Yeah. All right.
Because my eyes are bouncing around from abilities to
and see, that's the biggest problem. And what I'll say to people is that where are your eyes looking when you're doing PVM? I don't know if you can answer that off the bat.
Oh, mine are either on my ability bar or looking at the power bar on what's on cooldown, what's active, and I'm bouncing between. I'm rarely looking at the actual boss.
Right, and see, I bet if you ran eye tracking on people who did PVM, you would see that their eyes are consistently on their action bar rather than the rest of their screen, and that's I know that's how I do PVM because I've realized this, and it's very apparent in any kind of boss that's a set rotation, like a living death rotation, for example, is that you know exactly where you're looking, and you're listening for the cues or maybe something that the boss does. But beyond that, it's all about your abilities and where things would go.
Yeah, I love the bosses that have the
and isn't that funny?
Say, yep.
Isn't that funny? We're at this point. You remember way back in the day, David told us. He used to be our PVM guy. He's since moved to old school, and is going for 5.8 on RS3. You remember he told us that he counts ticks, and it's like, what?
Yes.
What?
Yep. But, yep. He had it down pat in his head. He was able to have that tick down to that 0.6 second. And again, you can learn that. It's learned behavior, and you train. It's just that repetitive thing, and he's just got it down pat, bang, and. He was the guy who used to cannon bloody rippers at the start in not in his dungeon, down there in there. He just camp a cannon, bang, and I'm sitting there. I have trouble killing one by myself, and you're cannoning these things.
Yeah,
he was just there.
Obviously, rippers have gotten easier since then with Necro. But,
yes.
In any case, we want to talk a bit about the beach, but before we do that, I'll just thank our Patreon supporters for this week, because without them, RSBANDB Update would not be possible, and we really do mean that. It's not a cliche. This week, I'd like to thank Alaska, Alvaro L, Amos Reed, Anatoly D, Andrew C, Arvidsel, Chubura, Daniel W, Dominic R, Drama Free, Duramax, Guy Lafleur, Jacob G, Jade Gizmo, Jason S, Jesse W, Jim M, Keski, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Mongrath, Pernasius, Ricky A, Rippeth, Runestar, Samuel FL, Scott DS, Shirt Pants, Targaryen, The Naked Captain, The Dab and Goat, Tim, Truth Ray, Ukulele Steve, Zant, and Zazicon. Big, huge thank you, everybody, for your support. We're just putting the finishing touches on the next monthly bit, talking about level 110 skills. No spoilers yet on what skills we've chosen for that. We're going to be sitting down to record that tomorrow, but if you want to gain access to that when that's out, head on over to patreon.com/RSBANB, and you can get access to an entire back catalog of north of 60 of these extra bonus shows of RSBANB Update for as little as $1 a month. And with that, you also get a mention in our show notes and the ability to vote on monthly bit topics, as well as the ability to attend our round table. We also have a VIP tier where for $3 a month, you'll receive a VIP rank on Discord, which includes chat channel access, a mention on the podcast at the start of the month, and high-quality stereo versions of the show. And if you want to give the ultimate gift, we have our Insider tier for $5 a month, where you receive a shout-out on the podcast each and every week, and you also gain exclusive access to the clips that we use to make the clip show at the end of the year, if that's your cup of tea. And, of course, big, huge thank you to everybody who supports us. Looking forward to delivering this monthly bit to you in the absence of a quieter RuneScape week this week. All right. Moving on then from that, and we wanted to talk a bit about the beach. Let's just have a bit of a look at this first, because you and I were chatting about this. It's like, well, what do you do on this week? And we're at the beach, and it's like, wow, there's actually a decent amount of XP that you can get at the beach for XP rate, to the point where you can get about 250,000 cooking XP an hour at the beach. You can get a similar amount if you follow the exact orders for the bodybuilding of 224,000 strength XP per hour. For the coconut shy, for ranged, again, about another 237,000 XP per hour. Our favorite dungeoneering hole, 219,000 XP per hour. Hook a duck, just doing passive catching, 246. But if you engage in tick manipulation, if you wanted to do such a thing, 369,000 hunter XP an hour. I mean, it's not as good as other hunter methods that are out there, but it's definitely something that
But you're not running around, you're clicking one thing.
Precisely.
It's very,
Yeah. Farming is about 110k XP per hour. The rock pool fishing is about 153k if you hand in the fish. Sandcastle building, 123,000 construction XP an hour on here.
Yep.
Did we realize coming into this how good this XP rate is? Because typically for an event like this, you get token XP, I think.
Yeah, beach has always been good, and I think that's why it is still popular these days. I looked at a lot of these XP rates last year, and when I was bouncing between sort of construction and the whole, because it is. I mean, the hole's so good because it's one click and that's it. Construction is a little bit more sort of proactive because you've got to run between the different sandcastles. Cooking is great because it's just the clicking. I do wish it would continue a bit longer because it's sort of, again, it's a little more click intense, like the hooker duck. It is a little more click intensive, so you've got to concentrate a little more. But I mean, it is very good XP rates for one of these holiday type events.
And
compared to all the others.
Yeah, and the reason we bring this up is because if you go back to Easter or Christmas, it's nowhere near as good as this.
Oh, no, they were all sub 100k.
Yeah. So I guess the wider question within all of this is that, do you make those other ones match the beach? Or do you admit that there might be too much XP in game and bring the beach down? Which I think if you did that, you would
you'd kill the beach.
You'd kill the beach and have a riot on your hands.
I mean, the beach, nearly 2 weeks in, a week and a half in, there's still heaps of people down there. When you do the Easter event, the first few days is super busy, and then it sort of dies off.
Yeah.
It depends what sort of.
And also, you get the skill pets now too. We talked about that briefly last week,
which is brilliant. Yes, yeah, I think they introduced that last year on.
No, skill pets was this year.
This year, was it?
That was a patch note this year. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant! Because I knew you were always able to get the fishing pet here, but that was the only one. So, having the skill pets added, I was calling that for you. Even though I was sort of master of all, I was calling for that for ages for people because it would make it a more active thing, and that's why so many people sit in the hole
because they just don't want to be doing dungeoneering looking for Gordy.
Yeah, like even now, I mean, I'm on a world, an Australian world, it's got 212 people on, and the whole the names go off the screen. There's that many.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we just back up for a bit with this, do we accept that this is an XP rate that is not nearly as high as some of the skill methods in game offer, but it's higher than any of the other holiday events? And by that logic, I think the thing to do is to increase the other holiday events rather than bringing beach down.
Yes. Because it's a good social activity.
Yeah.
I mean, you sometimes get some World 84 action on here, and I was telling Shane about some of that earlier. I won't go into it on the show because it was offensive. But we actually get some good chats going, and I've actually added a few friends to my friends list that I've been chatting to. Get in discussion, find you have similar thoughts on things, and just have a bit of a chat. And it's a great social event. And the variety of things down here with not only the skilling. I mean, we've got the Sandy Clue titles, which I love to do each day. There's a myriad of different cosmetics to unlock now. I think the beach is. I mean, I was sort of looking forward to their new event that they were coming out, but I think I would have missed the beach now that it's here again and playing it. It's just that one of those.
If it followed the same path as the other one, it would have been a completely new area that would have disappeared, and there would have been a quest associated with it. And as we know, they gave token XP, and I think everybody knows what was associated with the beach for that. And that's why people get to their, happy place with this in the summer.
Yep.
So. And
again, it's a limited time. So, I mean, it's, 250k XP an hour on a lot of the skills. Fantastic. Easter event, it's only there for 2 weeks. Who cares if it's, 250k an hour? Let people play it, enjoy it, and, I mean, it's content that you've created. There's going to be there 2 weeks a year every year. Have it filled, for the full 2 weeks by having decent XP there. It doesn't have to be, as we said, the best XP, the lean forward play, but have it, decent XP.
Have it be
like
not
the beach,
just pennies, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and it's a great, as I said, great social place because you sit in the hall, you just have a chat, and
And from that perspective, the beach is the thing to be emulated from for the other events. Because I think we all agree that they hit it off with the environment and the quests in particular for Christmas and Easter.
Oh,
and the reward items associated with it. It was just, why would you spend time at those places?
Yeah, unlock what you have to unlock, and then you leave.
And then you're done. Whereas I think Christmas time in particular is one where you all do want to be in an area like that. So, I mean, there's definitely time when we're thinking about Christmas to maybe, consider buffing some of the XP rates there to be in line with the beach, because, I mean, it's an entirely different set of skills, too. There might be some overlap, I think, when it came to the cooking, but there's crafting there as well, if that would have been up a bit like that. I just think it would be
I would have spent time there
experience.
if it was reasonable XP.
Yeah. So,
if I'm earning 60 or 70k XP an hour, it's like, nah, it's not worth it. But if I'm earning 150, 200k XP an hour, then I'm going to hang out here for a couple of hours. Even if they did it the same as here, where that's the other thing with the beach is you can fill your thermometer it's 4 times basically, because you do get your original one, then you can eat 3 ice creams before you get brain freeze. Even if they wanted to do it that way, because that gives you, it takes around 15 minutes to fill a thermometer, so it's about an hour's play. Yeah, even if they wanted to do that at those other places,
And that's what they do have on the wiki as well when it comes to filling the thermometer. They are all about that 15-minute mark.
Yeah.
So, and I think that kind of leads us into what we wanted to talk about next, but just some of the general things that need cleanup around the beach.
Yes.
And I don't know what the way to do this is, but I know one thing that always sticks out like a sore thumb is just how messy your inventory gets after spending some time there.
Yeah, so you need about 20 odd free bank slots.
Yeah, to get everything. But you mentioned in particular the ice creams as we were talking about XP rates, but also how many ice creams do you have?
I have at the moment 212 ice creams.
And you'll never be able to use all those.
No, you get. You're only allowed to use 3 a day. They're not tradable, and you
keep
can't
in mind
give them to other accounts.
It's 100% happy hour on the weekend. The thermometer doesn't go up there,
so you don't need them there.
You don't need
exactly.
It there. So that's really only 5 days there. And if you're using 3 per day, that's 15 a week. And this is here for 3 weeks. So you need
4
at most
weeks,
4 weeks. So you need at most like 60 ice creams with that.
Yeah. And that's. Maybe we have some sort of if they're gonna keep getting ice creams, maybe you can trade them for the basic cocktails. 10 ice creams can get you one of the basic cocktails that give you the 10% XP bonus on artisan skills or things like that. Or they just have a cap once you hit 15 ice creams, which is a week's worth, then they don't drop anymore. You just get other drops. I like the trading thing.
I was thinking you trade them in for like token amounts of oddments or something.
Or even that, get 1 oddment every ice cream, or even if it's 10 ice creams an oddment. That seems a little.
That wouldn't be too much. That wouldn't be enough. Rather, I think.
I think one ice cream per oddment would be okay. But I like the idea of keeping it sort of within the beach, so that I'll trade 10 ice creams. I can get a lemon sour, which gives me a 10% XP bonus to support skills. So if I'm out of those on dungeoneering hole, bang, I'm getting an extra 10% for dungeoneering.
Right, and then
that type of thing.
And then that kind of leans into the next thing. That's a bit of an issue needing cleanup on this. Is that what do you do with the advanced cocktail system, right? Because it's a mess in terms of inventory management.
So, and again, you are 200 mils. I'm 200 mil in farming. I've got 13 of the Palmer Farmer cocktail. So again, like your proteins, trade 3 for 1. I can trade 3 of these and get 1 hole in 1, so I can continue with the beach. That sort of trading system I'd love to see.
Yeah, because they kind of have the basis of the system there with the advanced cocktail kit, where you can choose which one that you want. So in theory, all that you would need to do is have like a combine option, like you have with the or not a combine, but an exchange option, like you have for the proteins, right? And then just have it be a specific ratio and use that same sort of
that's
UI for it.
Exchange 3 of the advanced cocktails for one of the advanced cocktail kits.
And then from there you can
something
choose which
like
one
that.
you want. Yeah.
And then choose which one you want. Yeah. That type of thing I'd love to see. The other thing is the anti-sun potion. It doesn't show on your sort of active bar, so you don't know when you've run out of it. And, you got to keep clicking on it. It's not for another 4 hours yet. But I've missed a couple of hours where I just forgotten. It's 4 hours away. I'm playing AFK forget about it and I've done another hour. Oh, damn, why am I getting
so
less
just
XP?
adding,
Oh, it's that.
yeah, and
Just
you
little
look
cleanups.
right. You look at other things too with that, and you pop one of the cocktails, you see it appear on your buff bar. So
Yes.
I mean, why not have little things like that too? Okay,
Yeah.
so just a nice, I guess you could say, just little round of QOL.
Correct. Yeah.
Fixes.
I mean, not
that.
game changers.
No.
I mean, it doesn't matter if it's not there, but they're nice things to see that would, just help, especially sort of the higher end players that, who do have 200 mils in skills and things like that, or just, hey, I love training fishing down at the wharf because I'm getting my sailfish and all that. I don't want to use those ones here. I'd rather use it in a skill that, is not my favorite, that I can just sort of sit back and AFK a bit here.
Yeah. Yeah. And
the other thing
is
go for it. All the different tokens that you get. I can click on Renya to find out what titles I've had. I can click on Lifeguard to find title progress, but I can't click on it because they are tradable. I can't go to open store at Sheldon and say, okay, I've got that one, I've got that one, I've got that one, because I can buy them to sell on the Grand Exchange. So you don't know what you've actually already unlocked. I'd like to see some sort of system where you can see what tokens you have unlocked. So if I've unlocked, I can go through and go, okay, I've unlocked everything this year. I'll come back and just do my hours time, but I'm not going to spend time chasing these tokens to try and unlock.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing with that, is that you have to pretty much just click on any of the tokens to see if you've already unlocked that item. And
correct.
I mean, it's rather unfortunate because I just unlocked the Gobi backpack attempting to see if I had it, and I didn't have it apparently, but now I have it. But I'm never going to wear that. What if I wanted to sell it instead, right? And that's what right. This is that there's no easy way aside from, going into the wardrobe and saying Gobi.
Looking at each one, exactly.
And pulling it up and seeing it. But maybe it's not even showing up in there? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Where do you find it? You know, it's just like they need. I'd love to have an easy way to see, because some are emote tokens, some are skill tokens, some are cosmetic tokens. There's a loot beam token. You've got to go into each of them to see what you've got, and there's no. I mean, I don't know how they do that. I mean, it is something that's. It may be too difficult to do. It's like something I'd love to see, because me, I don't use the, I never use any of the cosmetics, but I love to unlock them all. Yeah.
Because you basically go into the wardrobe and then just turn everything on and search for it before.
Exactly.
Whereas if you could just get a nice indication, that would be probably a better thing to do on that. So.
Yep.
But.
I mean, for next year, I'm basically going to go into the wiki, put everything there, hunt through, see what I've got, and just tick them off.
Yeah,
so then I know what I need to chase.
That's fair. Then you just get the
that's
new ones
really the only way.
And then you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Fair enough. Anything else on cleanup wise or XP?
No. Other than that, I mean, it's a fun area.
Yeah.
It's been here. How long's the beach been here? It's probably 8 or 9 years.
I feel like it was 16
now,
or 17 that it first came out.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And it has been. It's part of the game now. I know we were looking forward to having something new this year, but playing it again, as I said, I probably would have missed it. I think it's sort of a mainstay of the game now. It's been in that long.
Yeah, fair enough. But there were patch notes this week for the beach as well. There is no longer a message saying no more XP can be earned when skilling at a beach activity with maximum temperature using an advanced cocktail. The broadcast that is announced for Claudie pet will now state the correct number of kills the drop was obtained on. I don't necessarily know how off it was. Examining another player's Claudia pet will no longer show your own Claudia kill count. And here's a fun one. Balance Strike can no longer be used against Claudia. Do you know why this is a funny one?
Is it because in Balance Strike, like, you've got to have more life points than she does?
That's right. That's the one that came from the World Wakes.
Yeah.
So
it's not one I use, so yeah.
No, nobody uses it. So if you have...
Someone obviously did.
Yeah, so if you have a lower percentage of life points than your target, so for example, if you have 50% life points and use Balance Strike on a target with 90% life points, the person using it will deal 4,000 damage and heal half of the percent difference. So the example being given is that you would deal the 4,000 and heal 2,000 life points. However, if the target has more life points but the same percent difference, for example, 40,000 out of 50,000 HP, or rather life points, or 90%, instead of 9,000 out of 10,000, which is still 90%, the damage dealt to the target and the amount healed by the user will be unchanged. Whereas on the flip side, if the user has a higher percentage of life points than their target, so for example, if the user has 100% life points and uses Balance Strike on something with 5% life points, the user will receive 9,500 damage and the target will heal half of the percent difference, so 47.5%, up to a maximum of 30,000 life points.
That would have been a great way to be trolling people.
And that's precisely why you can no longer use Balance Strike on Claudia.
Just a whole bunch of people going there with Balance Strike just...
And the thing is that there's no numbers on the HP bar, so it's kind of hard to know what's happening.
Yeah. Oh, that's a funny one.
Yes. And you see why people, it's like, it's such a niche ability. It came from the World Wakes compared to things like Sunshine and Death Swiftness. But oh my god. A typo in the dungeoneering hole for when Gordy appears has been fixed, and the summer prize token is now tradable on the GE for Iron Man. General fixes removed a skill check so that clearing a farming patch should now be faster and more consistent for lower level players. And NPC healing from Balance Strike is now capped at 30,000 to prevent players healing bosses indefinitely.
That's another funny one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like Balance Strike was balanced very well.
No, it's just like a weird niche ability that in the right situation can be used as a troll ability, really.
Hey, come kill Nex with me and just sit there and just keep healing her on the person.
Right?
They die and drop all their stuff, you know, although that doesn't it goes to Death Office now, so it doesn't really matter.
And finally, Thalmon's Wednesday shop can now be tracked in adventures, minigames, D&Ds.
God, I'm glad I finished that.
Yeah, me too. But Moonstone was in this week, if you're interested in that at all, but that's gone now.
No, I bought a bunch of them expecting the new ring to need them, and once again my my money making sort of lips failed.
All right, moving on. We have more news on RuneFest now. RuneFest was it was hanging in the balance. They said postponed. They were hoping to come back to a point where they were going to be able to deliver on it. And they are now able to announce this week that they themselves are now hosting RuneFest at the NEC in Birmingham on March 1st and 2nd of 2025. So it will be happening.
Birmingham's a pretty big city too.
It is. I think it's the second biggest in the UK. Of course, people who are from the UK listening to this can correct if need be. And they say they're running it as an independent event. not in conjunction with Insomnia, because of course they went belly up.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
They're no less ambitious about delivering an excellent value event and, of course, the stunning and immersive experiences and community atmospheres you would expect. All tickets bought already will transfer over automatically, and they'll be selling an additional 1,000 tickets, plus any that are refunded. And they say these tickets will go on sale later in the summer to give people plenty of time to get ready for purchasing them. So... And for people who bought the original tickets and are unable to go to the new day, they do have the ability where you can log in and claim a refund on that.
Don't try scalping them
with your order reference numbers. Yeah, that was a fake news debacle there with that.
Of course,
social media and Reddit and all the Jagex naysayers said that they were being scalped, but. No. It was apparently, according to them, when they looked into it, it was in the low double digits of numbers that they did that with. So
of course.
But they say for people who can no longer attend but may have already made travel or accommodation arrangements, they say to check your bookings for refundable or flexible conditions. Directly contact whoever you have your bookings with to see if they can be flexible. Or consult your travel insurance, and last but not least, that some credit card providers might have their own protections on this. But March 1st and 2nd of 2025, so I have to wait a little while longer. Won't be an in-person gathering this year to see the 2025 roadmap, so we'll probably have to have that in maybe September or October for this, based on what they were going for. But we'll, of course, keep everybody apprised of all this, and I know people in Clan Quest are already looking to do this, because I know there's a bunch of people who wanted to get in on it, but they just weren't able to at the time because the tickets just sold out so quick.
Yeah. So, I think the other place was a bit smaller too, so obviously with the extra 1,000 tickets now...
No.
No?
Farnborough, where they did it last time, was 2,000 as well.
Okay.
Yeah. The only real smaller ones were the ones they did in London proper.
Fair enough.
So, but this will be 3,000. So,
yeah. Even that seems pretty small. I thought, I would expect more people wanting to go.
Yeah, we'll see how quickly these ones go. So
yeah, but good. I mean, it is unfortunate. I mean, we can't blame Jagex. I mean, Insomnia was a big company.
Yeah.
They've done a lot
it was
of
like
events.
The premier gaming convention in the UK, almost at E3 level, I'd say.
Because I thought I hadn't heard them. I looked them up, and they seemed like a very stable, legit company.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those unfortunate
things.
But
it honestly, it doesn't surprise me that much, because I think that everything convention-wise like this is still in flux from the dreaded pandemic and whatnot. And people are still trying to find what is the right way to do these kind of events, and how big can you go, and what's the risk that the people who are putting these on are going to take? Because a lot of times is that when you run things like RuneFest, they're running at a loss for the company, because monetary loss. Obviously, you gain a lot more in the PR that comes from them. But they're running at a loss. Yeah. So
that's right. Outright dollars wise, it's costing them money. But it's great to see. It's great that they've gone back to do it. Now we're just going to do it ourselves again. We're not going to trust anyone else. Once bitten, twice shy. So good on them. And I might look at trying. I've got to work out budgets, but I might even look at trying to get over there. Although that is the ex's birthday that March 1st, so good reason to get out of the country, eh?
On that note, what have you been doing on RS?
I basically have been camping the beach. I go and do 1,000 porters at Demonheim to try and get that bloody brush. Over 500 relics now, still no brush. Guthix hates me. And spend an hour or so down just at the node on getting Dragonkin bones for next EXP, where I'll take my prayer up to the sort of 195 mil.
Oh, okay. Oh, note on
But
bones.
yeah,
That's
not
interesting.
a whole lot. Well, yeah, because they're dragonkin bones, so they're not overly expensive. They're easy to get. They're AFKable. You don't have to really worry about any mechanics. So,
All right, that's fair. And where
with
you
the relic to just node them, it just picks them up. So,
right,
and I get those caskets, the treasure troves. So I think I got 93 Pernix pieces now. So almost got the 100 for to make my own quiver.
Nice. And
Yes.
dare I ask, any brush pieces at the dig site?
No, over 500, 502 relics. No brush piece yet.
So 0 brush pieces.
0 brush pieces. So that's another thing. They need to. I mean, I appreciate that they can be rare, but I mean, I think we need to have a hard cap of, if the drop rates are 1 in 250. If you get to 350 and you haven't got one, I think at the 350 mark there should be an automatic drop. Yeah, you get it at that, or even at 500. You go double what it is, you get it automatically.
Yeah, and it's actually a way worse drop rate than we're anticipating on this, because it's not, you don't get them when you complete the artifact. You get them at any point you excavate a material with it.
Yeah, that's right. So exactly right. So I'm doing So
we just count in artifacts, as that's an easy way to do it.
Yeah, and each artifact, I think I use between 75 and sort of 80 porters per artifact. So yeah. So.
Oh my God.
That tells you just how I could buy the brush outright just by selling the resources.
Yeah, but I mean,
I don't want to do that. I play, even though I'm not an Iron Man, with those type of things, I like to play as an Iron Man type thing and get everything myself. That's why I sit at the beach. I mean, I could go and just buy all the tokens if I want to, but I want to find them and unlock them.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. It's like, the skilling offhands are good, but they're not that great that you're going to just go out and spend the few $100 million on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're training to 120 for the first time. But we did that for archaeology, no problem. I think the hunter one's a little bit more interesting in that regard, in terms of where you might go and camp and what you might.
That's where I'm going next.
To get with that.
I've got to go and unlock that one after I do the brush.
Have fun doing agility.
We'll see. I don't mind that agility course. Plus, I still need to get my sub 7-minute run, so that gives me a reason to sort of go and do that. Big game hunter, because I've got to get the
I don't like big game hunter.
The 3 kill. I don't mind big game hunter, but again, it's a lean forward type thing.
Yeah.
So it just frustrates me because with Australian internet, I can get lag occasionally.
Oh, right.
And that's where I had my 3, and I got the first 2, and I'm going for the third one. Lag, drop out, bang, come back, and I'm dead.
Well, at least it's
not
safe.
Dead, but
safe.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
But no, it's just as I said, I play for fun. I don't play for best XP rates and things like that. I do what I feel like doing. I love to play it sort of Iron Man and unlock everything myself for that sense of accomplishment. So yeah. How about yourself? What have you been doing?
I spent the weekend in the hole trying to get the skill pet. No luck.
Haven't you got Gordy yet?
No.
Oh, I thought you had Gordy.
No,
okay.
I want that one because I don't want to set foot in Daemonheim again.
Yeah. Well, just keep sitting in the hole and drinking your holding one potions.
And see, that's the great thing about the weekend is that you're just doing something else and you're not necessarily paying attention. You don't want to pay attention to the game. You just you're able to do that. So I had that up while editing the shows last week, and that was that. I really should get the skill peer down to some of these other features down here as well, and run the extra client on that. And I will say again that I did some more. I feel like I mentioned this. I don't know where I mentioned this. I mentioned this at the round table this past weekend, and what wound up happening at Vorkath is that it gets to a point sometimes in the fight where I will, I guess, heal after I quote unquote die, and I will wind back up as I die with having, like a few hundred life points left. So it's not as though I land at zero. It's like there's something missing or there's something healing me where I'm dead, but I still have life points. I still have an HP bar, and it's just a little bit disconcerting on that in terms of the boss. And that's also why I mentioned earlier that would be good to have, NPC did X amount of damage to you with a certain ability, and that's what caused you to die. So that's where I'd find something
that's
like
a weird one.
Useful. I assume it's maybe from overhealing with necromancy, just because some of the abilities in necromancy do so much damage that the soul split is just able to put out the damage and heal it after you die. If I had to guess, maybe that's what's happening there.
Maybe. Maybe fix that tick so it actually heals you before you actually die.
Yeah, maybe that. I don't know. But as I'll say again, I liquidated about 58 million GP worth in farming supplies and daily supplies, and that is regular potion flasks, yak milk, and dinosaur roars. So you can become rich off that if you have, sufficiently high enough farming. So just saying.
Oh,
right?
yak milk's brilliant too. Yeah, it's just a nice, easy one.
Yeah,
have it in 3 cages and away you go.
Yeah, exactly. And the only difficulty is, of course, getting the females because the males can't give milk, as you'd expect. Yes. But
you just when the males are born, you just sort of
throw them away,
sell them. Yeah, sell them to what's his name, or feed them to the baby troll.
Oh, that's a good idea. I should be feeding them to the baby troll. I've just been
you get a
few.
Them. Yeah, no, you get a few points. For that. So hey, anything helps on those things as well to buy your patch bombs and things.
Yeah. But aside from that, on the old school side, this past weekend was Morning's End Part 2.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Used a guide.
Blind or with a
used a guide. Yeah. Used a guide.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, the second time I ran it, I used it. The first time I did it blind, but it took... I think that took longer than Gothic Slayer. That took me like 10 or 12 hours.
Yeah.
It's fun, but yeah.
I asked Sirion when we were doing this, I said easy mode, normal mode, or hard mode. Easy mode, of course, being quest helper, normal mode being a guide, and hard mode being no guide, no quest helper.
What's quest helper?
We went for normal mode. Okay, sit down. You seated?
Yeah.
So it's a RuneLite plugin. And whenever a new quest comes out, it's updated. And what it will do is it will highlight what to click on. It will point on the map where to go. And when you talk to somebody, it will highlight what dialogue options to choose.
Wow.
And if you're doing a puzzle, like the light puzzle, or say, for example, the gnome puzzle, you remember the change machine for the gnome quests?
Yep.
It's able to solve those. Though I was able to trip it up with the most recent gnome puzzle and the change machine, though. So it's not always 100%. But basically...
cheatware.
I mean, people love it. People love it.
If Jagex allow it, yeah, it's fine. But yeah,
It is the #1 most used plugin for RuneLite.
That wouldn't surprise me.
It has 472,000 installs.
Wow.
Yeah. The second is 117 HD, which is the HD renderer that kind of gives a HD effect for old school. Not like HDOS, but just, old school's own sort of HD on it. And the third most popular is Guardians of the Rift, the rune crafting minigame, the helper for that. So those are the plugins that are associated with that. But this...
I thought the clues would have been the most used one.
Oh, that's built into RuneLite.
Ah, okay.
That's built in, yeah. Yeah, that's built in. But this weekend is going to be Song of the Elves, which is the finale of the Elf Quest line in Old School, similar to our version of Plague's End. So it'll be interesting to see where all that lines up. For that, got 70 prayers, 75 magic, good to go on that front. And then next week on the Old School show, we'll be discussing, well, Gothic Sleeps. That quest is finally coming to Old School. So that's what's been happening on that side. And if anybody wants to hear the full-blown discussion next week about While Gothic Sleeps, just head on over to the Old School show, update.show/OS or youtube.com/@OSRS update. But let's do some achievements this week. I'm looking forward to seeing what our folks have been up to. So starting off, we got a few this week. Which is good. We got a few this week. That's good. So starting off, we have Diapolo 10 with 120 Dungeoneering on July 3rd. One Chunk Man got 99 Dungeoneering, also on July 3rd. Bella Cosity on the 2nd got 99 Fletching and 99 Divination. And Robbie also got 200 million ranged XP on July 2nd.
And moving on to July 1st, we have Edict with 99 Invention. Adani on June 30 with 120 Rune Crafting. Also June 30 with 120 Necromancy is Medj Quest. Down to June 28th, Dat Engineer hit 120 Attack. And Edict again with 99 Archaeology on June 27th.
Right on, right on. Good work, everybody. All right, what do you got for pick of the week?
Okay, this week it's a show that's been around for a while. It's in its 5th season now. It's well, actually, it's just looking at this. It's been renewed for a 7th season.
Oh,
but it's called The Rookie. Yeah, I know. Sorry, I've just clicked onto the wiki. I'm only 4 episodes in. It come up as a recommendation on Netflix for me, so I thought, hey, sitting back doing nothing, cold day, let's have a look at it. It stars Nathan Fillion. He's one of those beloved actors that goes through a lot of those sci-fi shows everyone loves. And basically, it just follows his life. He starts off with his marriage breaks up, his kid's gone to college, he's in his 40s, his business has gone downhill, and he packs up his life, moves to LA, joins the police academy, and wants to become a cop. So it starts off with his first day on the job, and just moves on from there. And it's it's actually a really well done show. It's a drama, but it does have some nice little sort of one-line comedy things in there. But I just thought, the 4 episodes I've watched so far, really well done. Nothing I can sort of see wrong if it's one of those sort of feel-good type shows, and just great to see sort of what someone older has to go through when he's going into a new job like that, because as we know, as you get older, it does start getting harder to get into a new field of work and things, because you do have a lot of your own biases, but the people want to train you, and they don't want someone coming in that they can't mold the way they want to.
Yeah.
So it's really good, and just some of the things he comes up against, like his captain just hates his guts because he's one of those, you're too old, I don't want you here. I want someone that I can mold the way I want them to. His partner is actually younger than him, the one who's training him. As I said, just a really good show that goes through things.
The interesting thing to me on this is that outside of seasons 3 and 6, they're all 20+ episodes seasons, which you don't get too much anymore on TV.
It's a proper TV show. It's I think it was there it is. It's an ABC show. So
season 3 was 14, which was 2021, so pandemic, and season 6 will be 10, which I assume they're probably winding down at this point. But you said they were renewed for number 7. So
I just said in April 2024 it was renewed for a 7th season. So there you go.
Huh. Well, and see, that's the interesting thing with this, is that TV in general has just changed so much. And, you know, you used to get tons and tons of shows with these 20-plus episode-long seasons, and that's becoming a rarity. I'm glad to see that they did this for the bulk of this, but maybe they are going now to 10-episode seasons based on how some of this
everything else is doing,
is looking, just to make it more marketable for streaming. Perhaps is what I'm imagining. I
would assume so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even most shows like Seals and all that, the first ones were all 22 episode seasons, but the last couple are down to 10 episodes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And it won't go back to that, but it always amazes me to see these shows that are able to continue for so long when in the streaming TV ecosystem in this day and age, 2 or 3 might be the magic number. So. Yeah.
Well, I think 7 back in my day, if a program got to 7 seasons, it was considered an outstanding success.
Yeah,
anything that got over that,
and that's
7 used to be the mark,
and that's what the golden mark for the Star Trek Star Trek series of the 90s was, because of course Next Gen, DS9, and Voyager all got to 7. Enterprise did 4 and got canceled, but none of the new ones have gone for even that long. So
that's right. I mean, so many of them these days, like you said, on the streaming things, get their sort of
like a 5-episode or 5-season show in this day and age is that same success that those 7 ones used to be. So
exactly, yeah. But some good acting in it too. There's no real overacting, and the storylines are great. I as I said, I've only watched 4 episodes so far, but I can't really fault it. It's very, very good show.
Yeah, and
highly recommended for people who like that type of thing.
I don't know where it's at, where you can watch it. In
it's
other
on
countries.
Netflix in Australia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yep.
It's on something called
So I would
Crave,
assume. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which is a Canadian-based streaming service, but
it is an ABC show, so maybe in America it is on ABC. But
if it's ABC, that would be Hulu then.
Hulu? Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alrighty then. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of this week's episode, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this one. As per usual, subscribe to the podcast. That's the best way to get it each and every week. Subscribe over at update.show/subscribe. We're on all the big podcast listening services out there. We're on Apple, Spotify, Pocket Casts, and more. Of course, YouTube as well at youtube.com/RSBANDB. And I guess with that being said, we'll be back next week for another episode of Update. I do happen to know we're getting some patches next week, in particular for divination, amongst other things. So
nice.
Maybe we'll have something to look at beyond the beach for that. But thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you guys next week for another episode of RSBANDB Update. See you then, everyone. Take care.
Happy scaping all.